Welcome to Great Minds. I'm Beth Simmons, professor of law and political science at the University of Pennsylvania. Finally, let's think about the future just a little bit. Human rights have had moments of success, diffusion, and recently backlash. We've had the classic issues of discrimination, torture, economic inequality, and political repression, and these will remain on the agenda into the future, but they're going to be joined and amplified by some new challenges. These problems that I've mentioned, in particular, the problem of pandemic, the problem of technologies that cross borders, the problem of global warming, all of these have got to be handled in a shifting global context. And global leadership is contested between states that have very different understandings of human rights. In the West, traditionally, there's been an emphasis on individual freedom from the state. And often in the West, we've erred on the side of inequality, tolerated too much inequality, and tolerated discrimination that is natural by the pure use of a market mechanism. But in other parts of the world, there is sort of stress in very much different rights. China's leading a coalition that stresses state sovereignty in the pursuit of economic goals, for example. And here there's a potential to err on the side of dissolving the individual in the corporate state. So we can expect that as China is on the ascendance, that we'll have a very different emphasis of what rights should be pursued and a very dramatic impact on human rights around the world. So the future of human rights is for human beings really to take active agency over. It's going to be stressed, to be sure. It's going to be stressed by the panics that are going to be induced by health pandemics, by the types of stresses and strains that new technology enter into our lives, and most certainly by global warming. And crises sometimes turn us one against the other. Crises sometimes open up opportunities for leaders to take advantage of fear and to repress. But the biggest risk, I think, is that under these kind of conditions, human rights are going to be seen as luxuries, things we can't afford to keep to the fore. And in my opinion, human rights are anything but a luxury. They are a way to maintain our dignity in the very difficult times to come. Well, I hope you'll take away at least a sense that human rights have been very resilient in the face of resistance, and that there have been a lot of brave advocates organizing on the ground to claim as much as they can reasonably expect in a situation in which they face a lot of challenges. Human rights have bounced back. They've bounced back in the face of autocracy, military regimes. They've bounced back in the face of recessions. They have become, I think, really kind of the hope for a lot of people around the world that there are, in fact, better times to come, and a sort of human dignity that is worth advocating for. International law has been useful in this regard. It's a tool. Along with advocacy and technology, international law has been quite useful in reminding people of the things that they are entitled to make claims to. And so it creates a focal set of claims that people have rallied around historically. And I'm fairly confident that when they are under threat, that people will continue to rally around these tools of law, advocacy, and human reason into the future.